Well, if you're a homeowner or if you're a contractor or in the trades and you work on houses, then of course you shop at Home Depot because that's where you go. And it's just been an incredible journey for Home Depot through the years. They started really gaining ground or getting bigger and bigger about the time I went in business. So I've grown up with them, and I'm so honored to have a guest today, Jim Inglis. Jim was one of the executives in the early years of Home Depot. Welcome to the show, sir.
Thank you, Alex. Glad to be here.
So you have a new book that just got released today, right? Today, tomorrow?
Yes, well, yesterday.
Yesterday.
Breakthrough Retailing, yes.
Breakthrough Retailing, How a Bleeding Orange Culture Can Change Everything. That is, if that bleeding orange culture refers to the colors on that Home Depot sign, then you got that right.
Well, you know, we always wore our orange aprons, and our color was orange, and it was said that if you were to cut us, we would bleed orange because we believe so much in the company. And so that kind of became the hallmark of our company, and hence the title on the book,
Well,
Bleeding Orange Culture.
so you were the executive VP of
Vice
merchandising.
President of merchandising.
Yeah.
That's correct.
For 13 years.
Right. I started out as one of the merchants with about half of the responsibility for this store, and then over the years, first of all, took on the responsibility of opening the West Coast stores as vice president of merchandising for the West Coast, and then ultimately executive vice president of merchandising for the company. At that point, then we're consolidating our merchandising headquarters in Atlanta.
Well, Home Depot to me is sort of like another retail store that also comes out of that part of the country, actually comes out of Arkansas. They were basically game changers. Your whole business plan, your marketing, everything completely changed that whole industry in the retail lumber business. And you started out going to basically DIY, and then you've ended up more into the professional ranks. Tell us about that story.
Well, when we first opened our stores, which were in the Southeast United States, the idea was to be a great store for the DIY customer. And there was actually a feeling that we really didn't want the professional customer because they would come in and buy all of the low value products, but not do the complete project. And as a result, they weren't considered our primary target. However, as the company evolved in about, I would say about year 5, we opened our stores in California. And what we found in California was that it was an incredibly price sensitive market. And as we adapted to that market condition, we found that we suddenly had a great appeal to the professional customer, and realized that no, they weren't just buying the commodity products, they were in fact going to buy the complete product when we focused on the remodeling professional. You see, originally we were concerned about the new construction professional who was strictly buying the commodity products. But what we found was that by focusing on the remodeling contractor, you end up selling a complete package of products. And so it became a very good business, both in terms of the quantity of the ticket, the big size of the ticket, as well as the fact that they would use our warehouse as their warehouse. They were the customers that would come in over 50 times a year, whereas the DIY customer on average would come in 4 to 6 times a year.
Yeah, well, then he calls a professional remodeler to fix what he took on. But, as a remodeling professional myself, I can tell you this, Home Depot, it has been a major part of our business because of convenience. And because and another thing is our workers, we can send anybody up there to find things that we need, and they don't have to go through, I love the old lumber yards that I grew up with, and I loved the salesmen, I loved everything about them. But you couldn't walk in there and find the variety of things that you needed that you could in Home Depot. It's a beautiful concept.
Yeah.
I really
The issue is
loved it.
time. The issue is time.
Yeah,
You know?
absolutely, it's time. You bet. And so, did you ever imagine that people would be ordering the products to build a complete house from Home Depot?
Well, that was never really our objective because new construction does require a different format. New construction often requires some products that are difficult to handle in a big box store. It requires a different amount of planning and long-term price quotes. And so we never thought of our business as a new construction business, but always as a remodel business. And of course, if you look at how many homes are built in a year versus the housing stock that needs to be remodeled every year, we've always looked at the remodeling business as our wheelhouse, not necessarily the new construction. So the idea has never really been to build a complete house as much as to be able to repair a complete house,
Yeah.
remodel a complete house.
Well, and remodeling on average, is such a lower price point. So I think the average remodel is probably less than $5,000. It might be $1,800, $2,000, something like that. At least that's what it was. And so that really would fit into a great retail environment. So let's talk about breakthrough marketing. What exactly is breakthrough marketing?
Well, the book is called Breakthrough Retailing.
I'm sorry, breakthrough retailing. Yeah.
And basically, it's the first part of the book does tell the story of Home Depot, and it presents the story of Home Depot from a standpoint of why is Home Depot so successful? Why is it the largest building material company in the world?
Wow.
Why is it the dominant player in the North American building material market? And what is that secret sauce? People would say to me always, well, is it the size of the store? Is it the product mix? Is it the pricing? Is it the promotion? And the answer is that, well, all of those are important, but really what made Home Depot so successful was the bleeding orange culture. The fact that the management of the company had what we would call a servant leadership, which then designed an organization to push decisions down and out through the organization so that people took ownership for their stores, ownerships for their departments, and most important, took ownership for their customers. Mm-hmm. And as a result, you run a customer-centric business. You run a business that's really focused on that customer, and you empower the people to make those right decisions that delight the customer. You have to not just train people in how to do the job, but why do we do what we do, so that they can make good decisions. So the focus of the book then goes into 10 principles that probably any retailer should consider when they are thinking about how do we build a customer-centric business, how do we build a company that empowers our people to take care of our customers, because everything has to be focused on delighting the customer. So that's the second half of the book. And if you have a customer-centric culture, then you're going to develop principles that are in fact customer-centric, that are in fact, how do we establish the principles of our company that will always work towards delighting the customers.
And this is a philosophy that any business, retail or not, should embrace. I mean,
Absolutely.
It's always about the customer, and sometimes that's very difficult, particularly in the construction business, because it's such a high pressure business, and people just don't realize how tough it is on the customer and the builder or remodeler, or even the vendors. They're always under time pressure. They're under budget pressure. And part of what makes Home Depot so special in my world is that it takes a lot of pressure off of me being able to send somebody, like I was telling you earlier, to one of your stores, one of the stores where you work, and they can navigate the store. They're familiar with it. They're all the same. They can get something quickly. It's usually, it's affordable. It's competitively priced. And what I really have always liked about Home Depot is that they hire a lot of people that were in the trades. A lot of the people that I've met there are guys that were, and women, that have some relationship to the trade. So when I talked to them and asked them for advice, they pretty well could give me some decent advice normally.
Right. One of the policies that we had at Depot was that we encouraged our store management to focus on hiring mature professionals. Perhaps they're retired carpenters or retired painters, and bring those people in. And so the idea was to have gray hair. And in fact, when our chairman, Bernie Marcus, would go to a store, one of the first things he would ask is, how many people have gray hair?
Or no hair.
Or hair. And everybody knew the number. And so all these more mature salespeople, they called themselves Bernie boys, because they knew that the chairman was looking for them. And it sounds a little derogatory today, but actually it was a term of endearment that they wanted to be a Bernie boy, because it showed that there was respect for their knowledge.
But you know what that introduces, Jim? That introduces a atmosphere of solutions. In other words, you have people that can solve a problem when you have a customer come in with a challenging problem, which is a whole lot of what you have to do. The reason my guys will make 10 trips a week to Home Depot is because they need that one little bolt or that one little washer, something silly that you just, or you may have an issue and you have to ask somebody. And I've always had a lot of success with the Home Depot guys and gals saying, hey, here's an idea. Here's what the last guy did. Here's a solution to your problem. It's huge.
Yeah. Well, one of the things that's really helped Home Depot take that service to the next level is having good people. Mm-hmm. That's one piece. But then the next piece is giving them the right technology. Mm-hmm. So like when your guy comes in and wants that screw, he can pull up his phone and there'll be a little yellow path that will take him right to the bin where it is. And this is a huge advantage, again, with Depot over some of the, let's call them the smaller independent stores, because they don't have the investment in the technology that Depot can do. And in the Depot, the employees have a handheld device, and that handheld device both can operate on the internet, but it also can operate on the intranet. And that intranet has additional data like you're looking for, well, how many bags of cement do I need?
Right.
If my hole is, 10 feet by 12, well, we'll go to the internet and we'll give you that number. So it's both having great people, but then also giving them the tools.
A great system. And then the other thing that I've always loved about that particular little device they've got, it can tell them exactly how much you've got. I'm only seeing one bag of cement on that bottom shelf. Do you have any more? Let me look. And they can tell you, yeah, I got some in the back. I'll go get you some. Yeah. It's a fantastic system. So in breakthrough retailing, let's talk about your book a little bit more and tell us about the book itself. What made you want to write it? How long did it take you to write this book?
Well, I after I left Depot, I have spent the last 20 years working with similar companies, but all around the world. I have clients in Japan, in Australia, in Germany, and in South America. And so much of my job for the past 20 years has been educating their staff. And we would bring teams of people here to Atlanta for merchandising workshops. And so over this period of time, we built up quite a bit of collateral on training retailers how to have high productivity retail business, how to have customer centric businesses. And so I was always told, you know, at the end of the session, there would always be one or two people say, Jim, you ought to write a book. You know, boy, we'd like to have this in a book. And so I had played around with the idea for quite a while, but never really had the time to sit down and do it. And then a thing came along called COVID-19.
Yeah.
And COVID-19 stopped my travel and allowed me to really focus on, you know, well, this might be the time to sit down and do this. So I spent most of the last year and a half focused on how to take these workshops that I've been doing and bring them into a book format. And I have a grandson who is working. He's a major in an international business at Baylor there in Texas. And so I kind of thought, you know, I'm going to write this book to focus on my grandson. And you know, if someone else likes to read it, I hope they do. But I want to make sure he understands what his grandfather did and what my philosophy of you know, running a retail store was. So,
Well, that's fantastic. Really, that's fascinating. And I'll tell you, having done a bit of writing myself, and I'm still working on that book I started 5 years ago. Writing is a curse and a joy all at the same time. It is brutal when you're a writer.
I never realized the curse until until you know, it was relatively easy to write the first draft.
Uh-huh.
Then to turn that first draft into a finished product is a curse.
It's brutal. It's brutal. I really appreciate you being with us today. Where do we find Breakthrough Retailing?
Well, I just go to breakthroughretailing.com and
Okay.
you'll see a little bit of story about me. You'll have a story about the book and even a little place you can click to buy the book.
It's been quite an honor to have you on the show. I really do appreciate it. And hopefully we can do this again sometime. Thank you so much.
Okay, well, it's been fun, and please keep shopping at Depot. You know, as a stockholder, I appreciate your business.
Hey, my truck goes there automatically. All I have to do is say Home Depot and off it goes. It knows where they all are. Thank you, Jim. I appreciate it so much. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you.
That was Jim Inglis. He has just released a book yesterday, Breakthrough Retailing. And I think that if you're a small business or a small business owner or retail, this is a fantastic book to get. Don't miss it. Go get it right now on Amazon. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we're going to do a tool review. Stay tuned.